I can't stop playing Slay the Spire 2. I'm serious. In just the first day of having the game, I played for like 10 hours, and I didn't even realize how much time had passed. This game has that classic roguelike, just one more game, never-ending cycle, and it's taking over my life. All I want to do is try a new build, play as the new characters, or do a run with some of my friends. It's bad. If you haven't played Slay the Spire, I'll give you a little explanation. Slay the Spire and Slay the Spire 2 is a roguelike deck building game. The whole point is to build up a deck of cards that is powerful enough to get you to the top of the spire. Every run starts out the same. You choose a starting blessing from this lady whale called Niao, which usually gives you a small buff, a good starting card or something like that, and then you're looking at a map. This map shows you a potential route you can take depending on what you think you can or want to do on your run. This symbol is a basic enemy, and it's usually, and it actually might always be, the first thing you'll land on a run. The combat in Slay the Spire is a turn-based strategy game, and to know how you want to play your turn, you need to understand what the enemy intends to do by looking above their head. So in this turn, the enemy intends on dealing damage, so I'm going to use some defense cards to block their attack. Starting out, your deck is very simple. You have block cards and strike cards and a few character-specific cards as well. But once you defeat your first enemy, you get a little gold, which you can spend at a shop. Sometimes you get a potion, and you get to choose one of 3 cards to add to your deck. And from there, you keep going, trying to make a deck that can get you to the top of the game. There are also some other symbols you can land on. This symbol is an elite enemy, which is a much harder combat scenario, but it also rewards you with more gold, better card rewards, and a relic. Relic are these passive buffs that you'll see at the top of the screen, and some of them can be really good. This campfire symbol is a rest site. Here you can heal 30% of your health, or you can upgrade a card. The treasure chest symbol is pretty self-explanatory. Here you get some coin and another relic. This money bag symbol is a shop which you can spend your coins at. You can buy new cards, relics, and potions, which can be helpful in a pinch. There's also an option to remove a card from your deck, which is really helpful when your build relies on cycling a specific card. And lastly is this question mark symbol, which is kind of a wild card. It can be an enemy, a chest in some rare cases, a shop, or it can be a choice event. The whole point of the game is to make your way to the top of the spire. Each run consists of 3 sections, and at the end of each section is a pretty difficult boss. Once you get over a boss, you get fully healed, another blessing, and then you move on to the next section. At the end of it all is this character called the Architect. Your character will deal as much damage to the Architect as possible, and then the run ends. And that's Slay the Spire, and the best part is you can play the game 5 different ways depending on which of the 5 characters you choose from. The first character you will play as is the Ironclad, who is kind of a tanky character. His builds will focus on gaining strength, which is a buff that increases your damage, holding a lot of defense, dealing big damage attacks, and applying vulnerable debuffs, which increase your damage to that enemy by 50%. He also has some cards that involve spending health for more damage or energy, and then his starting relic heals your character by 6 at the end of every combat. Supposedly the Ironclad is a good beginning character, but I honestly don't understand his kit at all. I have yet to have a fun build or even beat the game with him, so he's not for me. The next character you unlock is the Silent, and her character is pretty good. Her kit deals a lot in deck management, with her starting relic being the ability to draw 2 more cards at the start of combat. There are a couple build routes with the Silent. Firstly, she has a lot of cards that apply debuffs such as Poison, which does damage at the end of every turn, and Weakness, which lowers the enemy's attack damage. She also has cards that give her a lot of small attacks, like the Shivs. Shivs are small, 0-cost attacks, and if you get a lot of them, you can end up doing a lot of damage on your turn. One of my favorite cards from the Silent is one that plays every Shiv you've already played that combat, which can bulk up to a ridiculous amount of Shivs. Next is the first new character in Slay the Spire 2, the Regent. This guy is awesome. His whole deal is that he has a second resource called stars, and a lot of his cards work around that. There are cards like Child of the Stars, which gives you block every time you spend a star, or Crescent Spear, which deals more damage the more cards that spend stars you have. He also has another gimmick with his Forge cards. Forge adds damage to the Sovereign Blade card, and there are quite a few passive ways to build Forge, including the Furnace card, which forges 4 at the start of every turn. I've had quite a few successes with the Regent, and each of those runs has been centered around one awesome card, Stardust. This card deals damage X amount of times, X being the amount of stars you have, and if you save up enough stars, you can do a ton of damage. And his starting relic is that he starts each combat with 3 stars. Next is another new character, the Necrobinder. Her gimmick is that she has a minion called Osti that takes damage for you and deals it out as well. The Necrobinder's starting relic summons 1, which means every turn Osti gains 1 health point. There are quite a few cards that also summon, like one of your starting cards, Bodyguard, which summons 5. Or Pull Argo, which summons 5 and gives 7 block. The Necrobinder also has an emphasis on deck cycling with her soul cards. Soul cards are 0-cost cards that draw 2 more cards, and the Necrobinder has a lot of cards that create soul cards, like Reeve, which blocks 9 and adds a soul to your draw pile. She also has a new debuff called Doom, which if an enemy's health is at or below the Doom that you've applied after they play a turn, they just die. There are a lot of Doom cards, like Blight Strike, which deals 8 damage and applies 8 Doom. I think the Necrobinder is a pretty cool character, but I haven't been able to make her work yet. She has a card called Unleash that deals more damage the more health Osti has, but I don't know. I can never get a build that gives Osti enough health for the Unleash card to do anything meaningful. There's also a Doom build route that I've tried, but there is one card that is kind of needed for that build called No Escape, which adds 5 Doom for every 10 Doom already on an enemy, which is nuts. It's just a card that scales exponentially, but I've never gotten that card at a good time. And last, and certainly not least, is my favorite character from the first Slay the Spire game, the Defect. I don't know why, but I just know how to get a good build with him. His gimmick is he has orb slots, and at the end of each turn, whatever orbs he has will be cast. So, lightning orbs deal damage at the end of every turn.
Yeah, nice.
Frost orbs create block at the end of every turn.
That's lit.
Plasma orbs give energy.
Oh, nice.
Dark orbs gain power and deal a lot of damage when evoked. And then there's glass orbs, which lose overall damage the longer you hold on to them. If all of your orb slots are full and you channel a new orb, the rightmost orb gets evoked, removing it from your orb slot but doubling the orb's effectiveness. There are a lot of really good cards that can create some really great builds. Some of my favorites are Defragment, which increases the base stat of your orbs.
Alright, are we attacking?
There's Glacier, which is a good defense card because it gains block and channels 2 Frost.
You get me?
I have Duplicator. And then there's my favorite card, Voltaic, which channels lightning equal to the lightning you've already channeled. This can be an insane card because the already channeled lightning includes the lightning that this card has channeled, so it just doubles every time you play it. Oh wait, no, it's a lot more because I have the 12 damage every time. There are also some other things that return from the first game, like the daily challenge runs and a new but similar unlocking system, but I think the best improvement in Slay the Spire 2 over the first game is the multiplayer. I didn't think that Slay the Spire 2 was a game that needed multiplayer, but after playing it, I can confidently say that this is a great addition to the game. Currently, the multiplayer implementation is pretty minimal. Enemies' health is doubled, some cards do things like give buffs or block to a friend, potions are shareable, and there's a voting system when making decisions about your route. And that's about it, and just those few additions are incredibly fun. Choosing where we want to go and a run feels like we're playing a tabletop RPG. Sharing potions to capitalize on a strength or shield buff.
Here, I got you, John Paul, with the defend potion.
Put it on me, not you. Okay, good. or waiting to do an attack till your friend applies a debuff adds a whole other layer of strategy that hinders on your communication with your group, and it's incredibly satisfying to pull off. I think all of this extra strategy encourages multiplayer because you have way more flexibility in what you can pull off depending on what your friend does, which makes playing in multiplayer quite a bit easier than playing solo. My friend and I have been doing some of the daily runs together, and the other day we placed 24th in the ranking, and there was no way I could have done that on my own. Like I said, the multiplayer implementation is pretty minimal, and while it is really fun, I think there is much more the developers could do with it. At the moment, there aren't that many multiplayer cards, and the few that are in the game are all about giving buffs or resources to your friends. With a game that has so many creative card synergies, you'd think they would have more interesting multiplayer cards. There is one card that the Necrobinder has that works really well in a multiplayer game called Misery, which transfers the debuffs of one enemy to all enemies. This means that I can target an enemy and apply Doom. My friend can play as the Silent and target that enemy with Poison. My other friend can play as the Ironclad and apply Vulnerable. And then I can transfer all of those debuffs to every enemy on screen, which is huge. These are the kinds of cards I want to see, cards that rely on what your friend does. I also think that adding some duo cards could be really cool, like cards that only show up when two specific characters are at play, like a Regent and Defect card that gives the Regent stars based on how many lightning orbs the Defect has, or a Silent and Necrobinder card that lets the Silent turn any Doom applied into Poison. Cards like this could add so many new synergies and would be so fun to mix and match and make builds off of. The game is in its first weeks of early access, so hopefully some stuff like this is added. So this game is awesome and I can't stop playing it. At the end of every run, I start to understand how cards work in tandem with each other, which gives me ideas about a cool build I want to try. So I start a new run to try it out, and then that run ends, and then the cycle just restarts over and over and over again. And the fact that my friends are in the same boat, and we all just want to play the game together just makes the game even more of a problem. I'm currently folding to the just one more game fallacy way too many times to count because I just don't want to stop playing. Anyways, that's it for me. Here are my character stats in case you're interested. Let me know if you're playing Slay the Spire. What's your favorite character? What's your favorite card? What do you think about the multiplayer? Anything you guys want to talk about, go ahead and comment below and I will respond. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and if you really liked it, maybe even subscribe. That would be awesome. My goal for 2026 is to reach 5,000 subscribers, and this is how I'm doing so far, so a subscribe would be really nice. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. See ya.